Hello and welcome. What's up, everybody? Today we're gonna unbox the most epic six sack ever in six sack history, and I'm gonna give you guys the full trace swim bait breakdown, the seminar. I'm gonna go over when I like to throw the trace, where I like to throw the trace, how I like to throw the trace, the gear that I use, color selection, all of it. We're gonna go over it right here in this video. Let's get into it. All right, dudes, it's no secret, the word is out. I know a lot of you guys have already seen what is in this month's six sack, and I actually got word a while back that they were gonna do something like this, and I'm so extremely excited to get off into here and take a look at what's inside. Everything you see on the table is a pretty big clue as to what we're gonna find inside of this sack this month, and I was so happy to see that 6th Sense decided to do this month. I feel like this is something that the people have been wanting, something that you guys have been clamoring for a while, and this right here, I feel like is the most epic six sack ever in sack history. And we're gonna crack off into this bad boy and take a look right now. We're not gonna waste any more time. We're gonna get off into the box. As always, I'm gonna use my Berg Blades bottle butcher to do this unboxing. You guys ready? If you're in the group on Facebook, the 6th Sense fan page, this will come as no surprise to you. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside this month's six sack from 6th Sense Fishing. What is that in there? You know, we're always getting a sack, but look at that. The Trace 6-inch multi-jointed swim bait. This is a floating shad hammer. This is a color that I don't already have, so I'm pretty stoked on that, my lord. Look at that thing. The shad hammer. I haven't even seen this in person. God dang, that is fire. They sent out a trace in this month's sack, guys. Incredible. If you guys aren't familiar with the sack, this is 6th Sense version of those monthly bait subscription services that you see, and they've been making some updates and changes to the sack, including exclusive colors, exclusive baits, early drops, and now a swim bait, a trace. I've seen a lot of people say that they wish they could get a trace in the sack, and like I said, man, I was so happy to see that 6th Sense decided to do this. But not just a trace, you're getting more than that. It's a $50+ value in the six sack. It's like 36 bucks a month. So that's not bad, but check this out. If you use my code JR6SACK, that's gonna bring the cost of that first sack down by 10 bucks. So it'll be like 26, 27 bucks. Unbeatable deal, especially for all that you're getting in the sack. This month right here, they absolutely set it off. Not only are we getting a trace, but we're getting some more stuff in here as well. Let's take a look. A trace and a Vega. Vega frog. Ivory white, that's one of my favorite colors right there. Tough to beat a white frog. That ivory white Vega, nice. Let's see what else we got. There's another new one. I don't believe this has ever gone out in the six sack before. That's the Gyro Tail Spinner. Chrome Shiner is the color on that. Awesome. This is a pretty unique bait right here, one that I haven't thrown a lot, but I have fished it. It says the Gyro Tail Spinner offers exceptional castability. Additionally, each gyro is fitted with a rotating hook hanger to reduce lost fish, equipped with a Colorado blade for added flash and vibration. The gyro is perfect for targeting those deeper suspended fish. You simply wind it in, yo-yo it, or jig it. 2 inches in length, 3/4 ounce. Another new bait in this month's six sack. But wait, there's more. They set it off this month, dudes. Little soft plastic action, Ned Fry and Nirvana. That is my brother from another mother, Captain Ron's favorite color. He swears by this. It's like green pumpkin mixed with black and blue. The best of both worlds right there, the Ned Fry. This is a really versatile bait. Stick bait, Senko style bait. You can cut it down and use it on a Ned rig, wacky rig it, Texas rig it. That right there is a smoke show. Almost dropped it. Green pumpkin, black and blue, the best of both worlds. Covering clear water, murky water, muddy water. Got you covered with that one right there. But wait, there's more. What else do we have in this month's six sack? A Divine Hybrid Jig, 3/8 ounce, green pumpkin, blue crush, awesome. Little green pumpkin, black and blue theme going on in this month's sack. Little 3/8 ounce hybrid jig to go along with everything else, but obviously the star of the freaking show is gonna be this Trace swim bait right here. Man, stoked on this color. This is the floating version. What did I say it was? Shad hammer? I think it was called Shad hammer. Is that right? Yeah, Shad hammer. Let's take a look at this thing, man. So this is like a gizzard shad, baby bass combo imitator. Reflective, gonna put off a lot of flash. Great for fishing that dirtier, murky, or even muddy water. Awesome, dude. a freaking trace in this month's six sack. Once again, guys, check out the six sack, sixcentfishing.com. Use my code JR6SACK to sign up, save some money, secure the heaters, save the bread. In my opinion, it is the best monthly bait subscription service out there. I've been signed up to this for over 2 years, close to 3 years, never had a disappointing sack, and I've opened every single one right here on the channel. I have a playlist with every six sack unboxing for you guys to check out if you want to see. Go back through the history and look at everything that I've ever got in every sack that I've ever received. And like I said, I've never been disappointed. This month though, I feel like this is primo, dude. This is awesome that they included this bait. And we're gonna get off into the rest of the video now. We're gonna talk a lot about this bait right here. I've had a lot of you guys ask me questions about the trace. When do I throw it? Why do I throw it? How do I throw it? Who, what, where, when, why? What I use to throw it? What's my favorite rod? What's my favorite reel? Line, reel speed, color, and I'm gonna do my very best to get into all that right now in this video. As you can see, I got my trace collection lined out here on the table, and I'm gonna go through. I'll talk to you guys about the rods that I use to throw these suckers, the reels that I use, what kind of line I prefer. I'll talk color selection, my favorite times of the year to throw it. Really, I'm just gonna give you guys a heads up. This is a bait that I always have tied on. Extreme confidence in the trace. I've caught so many big fish. I'll try to include some clips as we go through the video so that you guys can see some dragging examples that I have pulled to the boat with this bait right here. And man, it's one of my favorite baits to throw. One of the most fun baits in the entire Six Sense lineup. A multi-jointed swim bait that can be fished a bunch of different ways. They have it in 3 different versions. The floating, like this right here, slow sink and fast sink. I fish them all, I love them all. And we're about to get off into this trace seminar, this trace breakdown right now. So first up, let me just talk about when I like to throw this bait, my favorite times. Like I said, I have it tied on year round and I will throw it year round. But I feel like the specific times of the year when this bait absolutely shines is spring into early summer before it gets too hot. That's when I catch a lot of fish on this bait. Also, the time that's approaching like right now, late fall time. It needs to get a little bit cooler for this to really start coming back into play. The swim bait bite hasn't quite cracked off yet, at least not around here. But once it starts getting cooler, I'm gonna have this thing in the water a lot. You guys are gonna see that coming up really soon. But spring, summertime / fall time. But like I said, I throw this thing year round. I catch fish on it year round. It's just an incredible bait, man. Incredible action. Once you see this thing in the water and see the way it swims, you're convinced. It's just a stone cold killer. Six Sense knocked it out of the park with this bait. It's one of my favorite baits that they make. And if you couldn't tell by how hyped I am, just for being able to make this video for you all, it gets me excited. It's a lot of fun, and it just makes me so happy to be out there on the water catching fish on a trace. You know, it's a bigger swim bait, but it's not too big, so you can get away with throwing it on a lot of different types of gear. We'll get off into rods and reel selection here in a moment, but I want to talk to you guys about some of the colors that you see out here on the table. So straight up, guys, my favorite color to throw, the one that I have the most of, is this one right here. This is the bone pearl. That bone, 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 bone. You know, I throw that bone a lot. That's the one that I've caught the majority of my fish on, I would say. I also have some that I've done up myself, and I have one that Casey painted for me, a 1-of-1 custom paint from the man himself. I'll show those to you really quickly. So these two right here, I actually painted up here in the garage with some silver paint. This one's like silver and lavender, and this one is like silver and chartreuse with just a little bit of chartreuse peeking through on the belly from the original paint. And then I added a little bit of dark lavender to this one. It's mostly all gone now, you can barely see it, but these two right here are like gray, silver, gizzard shad imitators that I painted up myself right here in the garage. And I've caught a lot of really good fish on this one right here. As you can see, it's beat up looking, really haggard, but it's got a natural look to it. And for whatever reason, they just go haywire for this one right here. Now, the last of the custom paints that I'll show you, I did not paint myself. This is one that Casey painted. This is the first version of a color that's coming soon that you guys will be able to get, and we've dubbed it the heater shad. This is the original heater shad right here. As you can see, it's a ghost clear body in the middle, got that bone on the belly and a lavender silver on top. And I have also caught tanks on this one right here. This one, super confidence, afraid to lose it. I don't throw it as much as I used to now that we have these coming. So these right here, I got a slow sink and a floating heater shad production model. So these right here are gonna be the ones that you guys will be able to get. But I'm gonna be straight up with you, there's practically no difference between these and the one I just showed you. I mean, they nailed it. They freaking nailed it. Look at that. I mean, it's a freaking heater shad. Here's the original. I had to replace the tail on it. And then here's the production model. I mean, they freaking matched it. They matched the hatch so well on the heater shad. It's coming soon, really soon from what I hear. Don't have an exact date for you guys, but keep your eye out for the heater shad. It will be coming to the website. And you guys make sure you follow me on social media, Facebook and Instagram. As soon as this sucker is live and direct and full effect, you know I'll be blasting it out across the airwaves. But those are like my favorite colors right there that I just showed you. But they have so many options. There's a plethora of colors from 6th Sense. You know 6th Sense, some of the best hard bait colors in the game, and they have a paint scheme for every scenario. So I'm keep it really simple with you guys. Honestly, if you're on a big body of water that has shad in it, throw a shad color. If you're in a pond or a smaller body of water where they're feeding on sunfish, throw a bluegill color. And that's really what it is, man. Aside from that, the only other thing you really need to worry about is muddy water. And I'll talk to you about a couple of the muddy water options, and we'll get those out of the way. So this one right here, the fire perch. I've thrown this in some murky water, not exactly muddy, but dirty, murky water with low visibility. And I've caught fish on this too. Right here on the channel, have a video on this this color out there throwing it for the first time, and wasn't even sure that I would get bit, but I did. They smoked it. That fire perch is an awesome color. Also, the live shiner. As you can see, that's another one with that flash on it. And it's got these bright, shiny scales, bold paint scheme. That's gonna do good in that dirty water. This one right here, it's like a white, bright white chartreuse lateral line, chartreuse belly. I forget the name of the color on that one. One of you guys will know. Somebody will probably drop it in the comments, but that's another one that would do well in that dirty water. And now, I've got to include the shad hammer. This is one that just came to me in the 6 sack. One of my favorite things about the 6 sack is that it's always getting me to try out new colors that I probably never would have gone out and picked up on my own. And this is one of those, but now have a new option in the collection, the shad hammer. That one right there is gonna stand out in that dirty or muddy water as well. A lot of flash on this one. Stoked to have that in the lineup. Now, the only thing that leaves is the bluegill. The bluegill patterns. They have so many awesome bluegill colors in the trace. Everything from subtle and realistic. This one right here, Cajun gill. This is probably my favorite. I love this color, man. Those browns and oranges mixed with that bright white and those black vertical lines. Orange accents, blue on the forehead. This right here is a killer bluegill color. This one, a little bit brighter, a little bit more standout. It's got that lime green with the yellow. This one right here looks like your typical bluegill that you would find in clear water right there. Beautiful pattern, black vertical line. Awesome bluegill imitator. My second favorite, the runner-up right here. Shout outs to the homie Ben Milliken. This is that Gillikin. He absolutely killed it with this color design. I love the Gillikin color. And that right there is gonna be an awesome bluegill option for all water clarities. Looks really natural, but it's something that I guarantee those fish have probably never seen before. So that pretty much covers the colors, and I've showed you guys most, if not all, of the traces in my collection. I have several of the heater shad. That's a super confidence color. As mentioned, I also have a lot of the bones at standby, at the ready, at all times. But without a doubt, the bone and the heater shad are my two favorites right here. These are tied for first place. These are the two that I throw the most because I'm on a clear water reservoir with a lot of shad in it. So that's why I'm going with those colors. But if I was fishing a pond or something where the bass's main source of food was bluegill or sunfish, I'm going with one of these bluegill colors. Muddy water, this right here does get bit, but you got that flash and that shad hammer and that live shiner. 6th Sense has all the bases covered for you guys. Best paint schemes and colors in the game when it comes to hard baits, in my humble opinion, but what do I know? You guys go check it out for yourself. 6thsensefishing.com. Pick yourself up some traces. Check out the 6 sack. JR10 for 10% off everything on the website. JR 6 sack for $10 off your first 6 sack. And I have a feeling they're gonna continue to do big things in the future to help set the sack off and make it even more worthwhile. This month's sack, I believe, was the best, most epic ever. But let's go ahead and get off into the gear that I use to throw the trace. We'll talk rods and reels and line, stuff like that. I have a few options set over here to the side, and I'm gonna go through them one by one and give you guys some choices here. So let's check it out. My first recommendation and my favorite for throwing the trace, as if you guys probably could have guessed already, this is the Heater Series Swimbait Special, 7 foot 8 inch, extra heavy fast. This is my own signature series of fishing rods through 6 Sense. The Swimbait Special Heater, this rod right here is straight dialed for the trace. It's rated for baits from a 1/2 ounce all the way up to 5 ounces, and I feel like it's just primo for throwing the trace. As you can see, I have one tied on right here in that bone pearl color. I have it paired up with a Shimano Corrado 200, 7.4 to 1, 7 to 1 gear ratio is my preferred speed because this bait was designed to be burned. You can burn this thing. It swims like a maniac, and the 7 to 1 gear ratio I feel is perfect for that. You can always slow down, but it's a lot harder to speed up with a slower reel, especially on these, baits that were meant to be fished fast. This is designed to entice a fish to chase it down and mow it down, unleash the fury. Always throwing it on 17 to 20 pound fluorocarbon. That's the sweet spot for me on the trace. So that covers line and reel speed. And the first rod choice for me is gonna be this bad boy right here, the Heater Series Swimbait Special. If you guys haven't checked out the new Swimbait rods, check those out as well. JR10 is gonna knock $15 off the price of every Heater Series rod if you decide to scoop one. But maybe you don't wanna try the Heater Series and you're looking for another option. This is my second favorite rod to throw the trace on. As you can see, I also have a trace tied onto this. This is that Heater Shad color, 7.4 to 1 gear ratio Corrado DC right here. This is the 150 DC, and the rod that I'm gonna recommend you throw the trace on if you don't wanna try that extra heavy Swimbait Special Heater Series is this right here. This is the Sensory Series. It's a little bit more expensive rod, a little bit higher end. This is 7 foot 7 inch heavy fast, and again, it's dialed for the trace. This is my number 2 trace setup and my preferred Sensory Series rod for throwing this multi-jointed swim bait. Excellent option. It's getting on up there in price. Like I said, this is one of their higher end rods, but you use that JR10, it's gonna knock a good chunk of savings off of this rod. Those are my number 1 and number 2 options for throwing the trace. The 7.8 extra heavy Swimbait Special Heater Series and the Sensory Series 7.7 heavy fast. But wait, there's more. Like I said, I want to give you guys some options. Some of you maybe already have some of these rods in your lineup, and you can throw the trace on a multitude of lengths and powers, and I'm going to try to go over as many as I can right here. This is another excellent option. This is the ESP Series, 7 foot 7 inch heavy moderate fast. I actually have a Carolina rig on this bad boy right now, but it's an excellent rod for throwing the trace. Got it paired up with a Scorpion DC 7 to 1. I would not hesitate to throw the trace on this rod. This is another excellent option. ESP Series, a lot of people love this different style handle on there, and it's just a great all-around rod. Another one that I'm gonna recommend right here. Look, I know I have some guys out there that have limited space availability. Maybe you're fishing from a kayak, maybe you don't have the room for a big, long, extra heavy swim bait rod. As you can see, this is my frogging setup. This is the 7 foot 5 inch heavy fast Heater Series, and I will throw the trace on this as well. I know it's not exactly a short rod. It's coming in a little bit longer at 7 foot 5 inches, but it's an excellent option for throwing that trace if you want something that you can do multiple things with. Heavy Texas rig, frogging, smaller swim baits like the trace, the 7.5 heavy fast Heater Series, excellent option. But I got 2 more for you here. This next one, this is the Cloud9 Cranker, 7 foot 11 inches, medium heavy mod fast, super parabolic. It's an excellent swim bait rod. I throw deep cranks on this. That's kind of what it was designed for, you know, the Cloud9 Cranker. But I've thrown the trace on this rod a lot, and it does really well. So if you guys have the 711 Cloud9 Cranker in your lineup, throw the trace on that bad boy. Let me know what you think. It's an excellent lighter swim bait rod. It loads up really well. The Lux Series, one of their more affordable line of rods, but hands down one of the best options that they make. I love the Lux Series, and the Cloud9 Cranker is something that I would not hesitate to throw this trace on. Last but not least, I'm gonna give you guys a little off the wall option here. Like I talked about, you kayak guys that like a shorter rod, this is 7 foot 3 inch rod, Sensory Series heavy fast. This is the rod that I first started out throwing the trace on, and it does great. It's just a 7.3 heavy fast, but throwing that trace on this rod kind of turns it into a moderate fast. It really loads up once you get the heavier bait on it. And even though it's shorter, I've caught so many fish on the trace on the 7.3 Heavy Sensory series. Again, 7-to-1 gear ratio, 17 to 20 pound fluorocarbon. As you can see, I have a flow glider. That's another lighter swim bait tied onto this thing right now. Got that Milliken mod done on there. Shout outs to the homie Ben Milliken once again. But the 7.3 Heavy Fast Sensory is another excellent rod option for throwing the trace. So that gives you guys some versatility, some variance in the rods that I would recommend. Everything that I just mentioned, like I said, I would not hesitate, and I have thrown the trace on all of those, and it does really well. So that covers a lot. That covers the when and the how, but let's go ahead and talk about the where, the why, and the how, and whatever else is who, what, where, when, why. Anyways, check it out. Where do I throw the trace? I'll be honest with you guys, everywhere. Open water, shallow, around cover, docks, marinas, bluff walls, boulders, submerged timber, brush piles, grass. I could go on and on. Really, it does great in any of those scenarios. I will not hesitate to pick this bait up and throw it around, no matter where they're staged or what they're doing or what they're chasing, especially if it's like spring, early summer, or fall time. It's just a killer all around anywhere, and it's one of my favorite baits to throw, so I don't hesitate to try it even in like deeper open water situations, because they have the fast sink, or up really shallow in inches with the floater. Covering multiple layers of the water column, you can get away with doing a lot, especially if you have one of each. That covers the where. Really, I'll throw it anywhere. Where do I feel like it shines? Around docks and marinas. That's one that I've caught a lot of really good fish on. And then along bluff walls with big boulders, and anywhere that might be holding, you know, a big bass that hasn't seen one of these bad boys before. I feel like if they get a look at it, they just almost can't resist it. I've also had so many epic wolf pack followers and, you know, non-committers that were just checking this thing out that I came so close to catching. It'll get fish to show themselves and help you learn a little bit, even if maybe they don't take a swing at it. It's just an excellent swim bait to be able to cover water, get a reaction bite, and draw those fish out. But especially around docks and marinas, if it's deeper water, go with that fast sink. With a slow sink, you can keep your rod tip high, reel it fast, and it'll fish practically just like the floater right up at the surface of the water. The one that I throw the most is the fast sink, because I can control that depth really easily with my reel speed, and like I said, a rod tip angle where I'm holding my rod. It's the most versatile of the three, so if you can only get one, I would recommend going with the fast sink. The slow sink is the one that's sort of that middle ground, and then if you're fishing a lot of super shallow water, or if the fish are blowing up, chasing bait up to the surface, you definitely want to go with that floater and just burn that sucker. Get them to mow it down. I'm telling you, the trace is some of the most fun that you can have, some of the most fun bites that I've ever had, some of the biggest fish that I've ever caught. And I just have a blast throwing this bait, and I know you guys will too. Don't be scared to throw it on a shorter, not as heavy of a rod. You know, you don't need a full-blown dedicated swim bait rod. If you've got that Sensory 7.3 Heavy Fast or a rod similar in your lineup, you can definitely get away with throwing the swim bait on that rod, especially if it's the floater. You know, the floater gonna weigh a little bit less than the slow sink, and the slow sink is gonna weigh a little bit less than the fast sink. Obviously, goes without saying. But man, the trace is one of my not only favorite swim baits, it is my favorite multi-jointed swim bait. I don't know if I said that already, but this is my #1 multi-jointed swim bait, and I got several of them up here on the wall. This is my go-to. This is the one that I throw the most, the one that I've caught the most fish on and the biggest fish on, hands down. The action on it is absolutely killer, and we've already gone over the incredible colors, so you know that you know, you're going to be covered when it comes to the paint schemes. Man, I don't know what else there is to say about this bait. I always have it tied on, and I always have a lot of fun throwing it. It's just a fun bait to throw even if they're not eating it, especially when you're in clear water and you can see the action. It swims so well. It's such a well-designed bait, and the action is just killer. I mean, look at that tail kick, those joints. It's just an awesome bait. I absolutely love it, and I know without a doubt if you try it, you will too. And I hope that if you do try it, you catch a monstro on that sucker. Like I said, I've caught some big fish on this bait, and I will continue to throw this thing until the end of freaking time. One more thing I want to cover. A steady retrieve on a 7-to-1 is like my primary method. That's how I fish it a lot of times. But something I'm always doing, and something I have gone over in the past, is I'm giving it flutters. I'm giving it little stops and twitches of the rod tip to make that bait flutter and sort of kick out and do weird stuff under the water. And I cannot tell you guys how many times I've been bit right there on that flutter. And I've even had you guys tell me that the flutter has worked for you. So experiment with your retrieve, burning it, steady retrieve, and giving some pops, twitches, and jerks of the rod tip to make that thing dance and do some crazy stuff under the water. Get your eyes on it and watch how lifelike it looks when you impart some action using your reel cranks and your rod twitches. I guarantee you, you will be able to trigger some strikes if you start incorporating some of that stuff and playing around with your retrieves. I hope you guys enjoyed this trace bait breakdown. I've been getting a lot of questions. What rod do I use? What size line? What reel? 7-to-1 reel. You can throw it on a 6-to-1. I just like to burn it at times. And like I said, it's easier to slow down with a fast reel than it is to like speed up and wear yourself out trying to go fast with a slow reel. So 7-to-1 is my recommendation. You could get away with a 6-to-1. You could even throw it on an 8-to-1 if you really want to turn and burn. And trust me, they will chase that thing down and annihilate it. You almost cannot reel too fast for a fish. I'm telling you, those fish are a lot faster than you think they are. So experiment. Play with your retrieves. But that about covers it when it comes to the trace, guys. I hope this video helped you out. I hope it was informative and taught you guys a little bit about how I like to utilize this amazing swim bait. Once again, shout outs to 6th Sense for setting it off in this month's 6 sack. I believe they absolutely killed it, and I'm confident they will do nothing but continue to raise the bar. I actually knew that this was coming. My homie ZK All Day told me a month ago that they were gonna put a trace in the 6 sack, and I said, dude, that's the move. People are gonna freaking love it. And from what I can see in the online chatter, a lot of you guys are super stoked on this month's sack. Once again, check out the 6 sack, 6censefishing.com. JR6 sack is the code to secure the heater sack and save the bread. Also, 6censefishing.com for the trace or any of these rods that I showed you. JR10 is my code that you can use to save 10% off everything on the website. It also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. It will help us continue to make these free fishing videos for you here on YouTube. And as always, anyone who uses my JR10 code gets a shout out on my personal Instagram account. Just take a screenshot of that order confirmation, DM it to me, and I will post it up, tag your account. It's just a way for me to say thank you, and give you all some public recognition for helping us keep this whole thing running, because without you guys, none of this is possible. If you're watching right now and you're not already subscribed to my channel, click that subscribe button. We are almost to 50,000 subscribers, which is halfway to our ultimate goal of 100,000, where we will obtain the elusive YouTube silver play button and hang it up back here on the tackle wall. I appreciate you all for taking time out of your day to watch this video, but that's about all I got for you today. That about does it. That about wraps her on up. So I'm gonna say goodbye for now, and I'll see you on the next one.